Hello and welcome to another edition of Business Africa. I am Afolake Oyinloye. Coming up, how can liquidity be achieved in Africa's financial market? We'll find out shortly. AU-EU Summit focuses on investing in youth for a sustainable future. And Burkina Faso launches Sahel region's largest solar power plant. In the financial market, investing in local currency-dominated debt will undoubtedly enhance the capital market's long-term resilience. Liquidity also plays a major role in having a structured financial system. We spoke to an expert from the capital market for more insights. But before that, let's have a look at this report from Stefan Kunye and Michael Dibier.
Liquidity of funds play a central role in the financial market's functioning. Structural changes in financial system that have been underway for some time now increases the importance of market liquidity. Some financial experts at the just concluded Africa Financial Market Initiative workshop in Dakar, Senegal, examine how some of the risks in the sector can be avoided.
And of course, the recourse to domestic resources is even more precious for them to be able to meet their needs locally. And this becomes a trust relationship between the governments and the individuals, be it the savings part of the market and also the infrastructure.
Some noted that the true challenge is that always the bulk of the emissions are on the short term. The allocation of capital, however, increasingly relies on security markets where funds for investment in the real economy are raised through the direct insurance of security to investors.
It's now time to have the insight from our expert from Abinmanyu Yadav. Is from the MVC Capital Markets, Mauritius. Welcome to the program. Now, what are the conditions for achieving liquidity?
Well, liquidity, the way I define it is that the capital markets that we're trying to improve is the body, and liquidity is essentially the blood that flows through those capital markets. You can't really have a good capital market without liquidity underlying the instruments over there. So the conditions to achieve liquidity can be different and subject to different markets, but what you need is you need to be able to provide people, or essentially investors, an ease of buying and selling the investments that they want, whether it's stocks, whether it's bonds or commodities or futures that trade on that capital market. So you need to be able to, a capital market needs to provide sufficient confidence and diverse players who can buy and sell bonds and stocks at any given point of time without affecting prices too much.
So why is it important to have liquidity in the market? What's the impact on the economy?
Well, that goes to the whole fact of how a capital market can improve the economy. So as an example, in America, in the US, banks lend around 50% of all lending to corporates and people, and capital markets lend 50%. In Africa, banks dominated by lending 95% versus capital markets providing only 5%. What that means is that the country is beholden to the banks. So you need to know your banker very well. You need to have, you're a small company, you don't have assets, you might not get lending. But a capital market provides an avenue for people to borrow and leverage and invest in their businesses without being dominated by banks. So capital markets are very important to diversify away from banks. Banks are very important, of course, but capital markets provide another source. So that's where you get capital markets coming in. A country which has a very robust capital market provides an access avenue for its companies to be able to grow and leverage themselves. So again, that goes to the whole, and then a capital market without liquidity isn't a very efficient capital market. So you need both. So once you have an efficiently liquid capital market, it helps a country phenomenally because corporates over there can borrow much better.
Now, given to that fact, how can liquidity be ensured in the African bond market?
Now, the way to improve liquidity is you get transparency, like I said, from the AFME initiatives, and you also get diverse players into the market away from the pension funds and insurance companies. So you get mutual funds, you get foreign investors coming in. So you have people who, will take different sides of a trade, because a pension fund might be buying, but somebody has to sell. Or there might be a time when the pension fund is selling and somebody else has to buy. Right now, we don't have those diverse players right now, but it's getting there. So our markets are liquid, not very liquid, but there are steps being taken to make them liquid. And number one is transparency of data, and number two is bringing diverse players into the market.
Thanks for your input.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much for calling.
When we come back, we'll head to Abidjan, where the AU-EU Summit angled this year's edition on youth empowerment.